Welcome to the deep dive. We often talk about plans going wrong, but today we're diving into maybe the ultimate example. Sir Ernest Shackleton's Imperial Trans-Antarctic expedition. Most people probably know it better by the ship's name, the Endurance. When they set off back in November 1914, the goal was just audacious. I mean, incredibly so. First ever crossing of the entire Antarctic continent on foot.
Yeah, something like 2,900 kilometers, they figured, in about 120 days. It's like the last great uncharted journey left on the planet. Huge pressure.
Right. And the context matters, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Public fascination, national pride, it was all wrapped up in this.
Yeah.
And Shackleton, well, he pushed into the Weddell Sea, a really dangerous area, despite warning.
But the thing is, that epic crossing, it never even started.
Not even close. The dream was, lost almost before they unpacked, practically.
Okay, let's unpack that then, because the failure of the crossing isn't really the story here, is it?
No, not at all.
Our deep dive today is about what happened after everything failed. It's about sheer survival, how 28 men made it back when, honestly, they probably shouldn't have. So the clock starts ticking, really, on January 18th, 1915. That's the day the Endurance gets properly stuck.
Yeah, not just slowed down by ice, but completely frozen in, like a fly in amber, just locked solid in this dense pack ice. Their ship basically became part of the landscape.
And it wasn't quick. This wasn't like the Titanic hitting an iceberg.
No, this was a slow burn, a 9-month ordeal. They drifted, stuck in the ice, through the whole Antarctic winter. Constant darkness. The psychological pressure must have been immense.
Watching the ice just slowly
Crushing the ship. Exactly. You could hear it groaning, feel the pressure building day by day. Then, late October 1915, things escalated.
October 24th.
That's the date. The ice pressure finally became too much, snapped the stern post, water flooding in. They tried pumping for 3 days. 3 exhausting, hopeless days.
But Shackleton saw it was no good.
Yeah, he had to make the call. Abandon ship. It sounds brutal, but it was decisive. They'd sort of been preparing mentally for months, I suppose.
Yeah.
But losing the ship, that was devastation.
And the Endurance finally slipped beneath the ice on November 21st, 1915.
Gone. And just like that, Shackleton's job description changed completely. He wasn't an explorer anymore.
No, he was the guy responsible for keeping 28 men alive on a chunk of ice in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. The mission. Survival. Full stop.
Okay, so picture this. 28 guys stranded on floating ice. They've got 3 small lifeboats dragged from the ship, some sledges.
And maybe a month's worth of emergency rations. Highly concentrated stuff, but still only a month.
And everyone has their personal thing, photos, letters, maybe keepsakes. But Shackleton knew survival meant getting ruthless immediately.
This is where his leadership really shines, I think. It wasn't just about supplies, it was psychology. He set this incredibly strict limit. 2 pounds of personal gear per man. That's it.
2 pounds, that's basically nothing.
Almost nothing. And to show he meant business, he did it himself, publicly. He took out his own gold sovereigns, just tossed them onto the ice. And he took his Bible, ripped out a page or two, and threw that away too.
Wow. That sends a message, doesn't it?
A powerful one. It wasn't about the weight, not really. It was about stripping away the past, stripping away sentiment, saying, this is our new reality. Survival is the only thing that matters now.
No room for anything else.
Exactly. It created this collective focus. No resentment about who kept what, and that ruthless focus extended everywhere. They had to hunt seals, penguins, anything to stretch those rations.
And then the dogs. That's always the part that gets me.
It's incredibly hard to read about. First the puppies, then eventually all the sled dogs. They were companions, part of the team for the crossing that never happened. But now...
just mouths to feed, consuming precious resources.
Yeah, it shows the absolute extreme they were pushed to. Abandoning loyalty, companionship, all for the cold calculus of survival.
While all this is happening, they're not just sitting still, right? The ice is moving.
Constantly drifting. Their first hope was Paulette Island, maybe 550 kilometers away. They were trying to sled towards it, initially.
The drift took them.
Yeah, by March 1916, the current had dragged them right past Paulette Island. Worse, it was pulling them north, faster and faster, straight towards the Drake Passage.
Which is bad news.
The worst.
Yeah.
Open ocean, notoriously violent seas, the last place you want to be when your ice flow starts breaking up.
So the ice flow, their temporary home, starts disintegrating. It's becoming unstable.
Yeah, cracking, shrinking. Time was up. Shackleton had to make another huge call, launch the lifeboats, all 3 of them.
Into that freezing, chaotic water.
No choice. They had to paddle for their lives, literally,
Ah,
aiming for the nearest speck of land they could possibly reach before the Drake Passage swallowed them. That speck was Elephant Island,
how far was that?
about 160 kilometers, in open boats after months on the ice. It sounds almost impossible.
But they made it.
They did. April 15th, 1916, they landed on Elephant Island. Think about that. 497 days after the Endurance first got trapped, they were finally on solid ground.
The relief must have been unbelievable.
Immense. But, solving one problem immediately created another, even bigger one.
Right. Because Elephant Island is, well, it's just a rock, isn't it?
Pretty much. Uninhabited,
Yes.
unvisited, crucially, way off any shipping routes. Nobody was just going to stumble upon them there.
So, okay, they're alive, they're on land, but they're still completely stranded. How on earth do you get rescued from there?
That was the million-dollar question. No radio, no way to signal. They were safe from the ice and sea for the moment,
Yeah.
but totally, utterly alone.
Okay, this is where the story goes from incredible survival to almost legendary. Shackleton's next move.
Yeah, he knew waiting for rescue wasn't an option. It would likely never come. So he decided on this incredibly bold gamble.
The boat journey.
The boat journey. Take one of the lifeboats. The James Caird was maybe 22 feet long. Pick 5 of his fittest men and try to sail it across 1,300 kilometers of the roughest ocean on the planet to South Georgia Island.
1,300 kilometers in that tiny boat, leaving everyone else behind.
Exactly. Leaving 22 men on Elephant Island under the command of his second, Frank Wild, it was a huge risk, psychologically too, leaving the main group.
Why South Georgia? Wasn't it the furthest option?
It was, but ironically, the safest. Sounds crazy, right? But the closer options meant sailing through the heart of the Drake Passage, which was considered suicide in a small boat. South Georgia, though further, offered a slightly less treacherous route, relying heavily on the skill of the navigator, Frank Worsley.
And that journey, it was hellish, wasn't
Oh,
it?
completely. 3 weeks, mountainous waves, hurricane-force winds, constant freezing spray coating everything in ice. They were soaked, freezing, cramped, battling for every inch. It's honestly hard to comprehend how they physically endured it.
Let alone navigated accurately.
Worsley's navigation was, frankly, miraculous,
Right.
using just a sextant under those conditions. Anyway, they made it. Landfall on South Georgia, May 10th, 1916.
Amazing. So rescue?
Not quite yet. Another cruel twist. They'd landed on the wrong side of the island. The remote, uninhabited coast. The whaling stations, their target, were on the other side.
And the boat, the James Caird.
Battered, barely seaworthy. The coastline was too dangerous to risk sailing around.
So they were stuck again.
Almost. Their only path to the whaling station to rescue was overland, directly across the island's interior.
Which was?
A completely uncharted, 10,000-foot-high, glacier-covered mountain range,
Oh.
about 29 miles as the crow flies, but incredibly difficult terrain. No one had ever crossed it before, ever.
So after surviving the ice, the boat journey, they now had to climb unmapped frozen mountains.
Yep. It's just staggering. Shackleton, Worsley, and one other man, Tom Crean, set off. They basically didn't stop for 36 hours straight, climbing, sliding down slopes in fog, navigating by instinct.
And they arrived.
They stumbled into the Stromness whaling station on May 20th, 1916, looking like wild men, covered in soot and blubber from improvised fuel, utterly exhausted. The whalers couldn't believe their eyes. So Shackleton and his small team are safe. But his only thought really was the 22 men still back on Elephant Island.
Right. He had to get back to them.
Immediately started organizing a rescue. But it wasn't easy. The Antarctic winter was setting in again. The pack ice was closing around Elephant Island. 3 times he tried to get a ship through, and 3 times the ice forced him back.
3 failed attempts. Imagine the stress.
Incredible pressure. Finally, he persuaded the Chilean government to lend him a small, sturdy steam tug, the Yelcho. Not an icebreaker, but tough. That was his 4th attempt.
Meanwhile, what's happening back on Elephant Island all this time? 128 days they were left there.
That's Frank Wild's part of the story, and it's just as remarkable in its own way. His job was maybe even harder psychologically.
Yeah.
Keep 22 cold, hungry, isolated men alive and sane with no guarantee rescue was ever coming.
How did he manage that?
Routine, discipline, hope. They overturned the 2 remaining lifeboats, used canvas to make a crude shelter. They called it the Snuggery. Kept hunting seals and penguins. Wild kept everyone busy, kept spirits up as best he could. He never let them give up hope.
Even through immense hardship, I read someone needed an amputation.
Yeah, one man, Blackborough, developed severe gangrene in his foot. The surgeon, Macklin, had to amputate his toes using basic tools, sterilized in boiling seawater, with chloroform as the only anesthetic. In that freezing hut, it shows the grim reality they faced. But Wild held them together
Until...
until August 30th, 1916. Through the mist, they saw a ship. It was the Yelcho. Shackleton was on board.
That moment must have been electric.
Absolutely. Shackleton called out, asking how many were alive. Wild shouted back, "All well." Shackleton later said he could barely believe it. He found all 22 men alive.
Every single one.
Every single one. He left England with 28 men. He lost his ship, failed completely in his original mission, endured almost 2 years of unimaginable hardship.
And brought all 28 home alive.
It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
astounding. Hashtag tag outro.
It really stands as one of the greatest survival stories ever told, doesn't it? Defined not by achieving the goal, but by, well, refusing to die. The mission was a total failure.
Utter failure in terms of exploration.
But the human side, a complete, unbelievable success.
Absolutely. And when you ask why they succeeded, it comes down to a few key things. Shackleton's leadership, obviously. His foresight, his adaptability, his psychological strength, but also the crew's resilience, their discipline, and that incredible teamwork.
They never seem to turn on each other.
No. Which is amazing under that kind of pressure. So what does it all mean? I think it really highlights the difference between, say, mission success, ticking the box, planting the flag, and the success of preserving human life against all odds. Leadership redefined, maybe.
Right. And maybe that forces us to think about what value really means in extreme situations. Which leads to our final thought for you to consider. To ensure survival, Shackleton forced the abandonment of things society holds dear. He tossed aside his gold coins, a symbol of wealth, status. He discarded his Bible, a symbol of faith, the sacred. And he ordered the killing of the dog's loyal companions, symbols of connection. All necessary sacrifices for the group.
Yeah, brutal choices, all of them.
So the question for you is, which of those acts, ditching the gold, the Bible, or the dogs, was the most profound demonstration of the kind of leadership needed? Which one showed most clearly that the old rules just didn't apply anymore? That survival demanded a complete break from the world they knew? Something to think about.
Definitely some of them all over.
That's your deep dive for today. We'll see you next time.